go.
Hi Jan, how you going?
Good, Paul. How you feeling?
I'm pretty good with my box of tissues.
You poor thing. Well, I'm still sitting here, no symptoms.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Negative rat tests. So,
Welcome to everyone who is participating in this evening's AGM, in person and online. My name is Langdon Blight and I will be chairing this evening's AGM. Unfortunately, our President, Paul Dixon, who would normally chair the meeting, has become a close COVID contact and is unable to attend in person. The chairing responsibility would then have passed to our Chief Commissioner, Jan Turnbull, who has also become a close contact, or to our Vice President, Simon Gray, who is unable to be here this evening. So the chairing responsibility has fallen to me. I am Chair of the Finance and Audit Committee and a current member of the Branch Executive Committee, although given that I am a candidate for re-election this evening, that could be a little bit optimistic. We'll see. Let me explain how the meeting will proceed. Before we start the formal proceedings of the AGM, we're going to hear a pre-recorded address from our President. I'm then going to present the Chief Commissioner's report, which, given the late notice of her unavailability, could not be pre-recorded. That will lead into a presentation from the Attaqua Muslim Scout Group to present on what Scouting means to the community. Following that presentation, I'll start the AGM proper, and I expect it will conclude all proceedings at a little after 7 p.m. So let's start with the pre-recorded address from our President, Paul Dixon.
Good evening everyone and welcome to our branch AGM. My name is Paul Dixon and I'm the President of Scouts Australia SA branch. Before I start, I need to apologise for not being here in person, as the dreaded COVID has struck. I was a close contact and I'm now positive with 3 days to go in quarantine. Tonight's AGM is a little different, as it seems like yesterday when we were here at our last AGM 6 months ago. Just to remind people, this situation was created by a change in our financial year timings, and I can promise you that our next AGM will not be until March of 23. While there has only been a short time between AGMs, a lot has happened. And this meeting gives me a great opportunity to inform, educate, and hopefully answer some questions that you may have. Some of you may be interested in the image on the screen. This image was taken of me very early one morning, -2 degrees on the water, on Dove Lake, Cradle Mountain, Tasmania. And many of you will know that Dove Lake is also the start of the iconic Overland Trail. Now, before you all start to fret and get concerned, this is not a travel slide evening with me going through hundreds of pictures of my latest travel adventures, boring you all to tears. The reason that I'm displaying this image is far more personal to me. Like many here, I have been a lifetime scout, commencing as a cub many, many years ago at Henley Sea Scouts. Scouting has given me drive, sense of adventure, that ability to challenge myself, and leadership skills. I firmly believe if I hadn't been involved in Scouts and hadn't had the personal development from my leaders and peers, I would have never had reached an executive position within the South Australian Police, and much more importantly, I would have never had gone kayaking on Dove Lake. What keeps me going in my position as President of this wonderful branch is the opportunity that this position gives me through the service of our adult members and staff to create the opportunities to ensure that the youth of today and into the future have the same opportunities that I had, and so many just like you. Over the last couple of years, I've taken every opportunity that I have had to inform the branch about two critical issues: redress and civil litigation. Tonight will be no different. From a risk perspective, these two issues are the two greatest threats to our branch and have the potential to close us down in our current format. Nationally, we are currently working through options on how we as a national organisation may support branches if they become insolvent. This is a real issue and is currently at the forefront of every decision being made at the BEC level. I'm always concerned when we are required to pay such large amounts of money which we could have used to improve scouting. However, when you read the horrific behaviours committed against our youth members when they have been wearing our Scout uniform by Scout leaders who had the responsibility to provide a safe environment, you can understand the views of our survivors. We must never, as a branch or individuals, forget that we have let our survivors down, and we must all do everything we can to ensure it never happens again. In this circumstance, we have failed them, and we are now paying the price for that failure. As a reminder, the National Redress Scheme is a Commonwealth program, which Scouting is a participant. The scheme allows survivors of sexual abuse to make a claim against the organisation, such as Scouting. Claims can be made up to $150,000, and we have paid out several claims close to this figure. Currently, we've had 41 applicants under redress between 1950 and 2002. We have been able to finalise 39. We have 2 matters which are currently pending, and we have paid $3 million in redress. Civil litigation is a process where an individual can take out a civil action against an individual or an organisation, such as Scouting, if the individual believes that they have been wronged by the other party. Settlements are usually made through negotiations between the two parties and can involve expensive legal advice. Especially when negotiations cannot be agreed, these matters end up in court with risk of significant costs both in legal advice and any claims made against the branch. So far we have had 12 survivors. Total claims that those 12 survivors have made against the organisation is $5.6 million. And we believe that we may be able to settle those claims for around $2.4 million. And we have been able to resolve 10 claims, and we've been able to resolve those 10 claims for $1.5 million. So what does this all mean? We've actually paid out in total $4.4 million. We've been able to settle 51 claims. And when you really think about it, for an organisation our size, that's an awful lot. The future is difficult to predict. However, I'm a firm believer that it could cost us up to $10 million. The National Redress Scheme has been implemented for a period of 10 years, and we have just under 7 years to go. However, the Commonwealth could extend the scheme if they wish to. Civil litigation, on the other hand, has no time frame and will be with us forever. This is the situation that we are dealing with. And now you'll be able to see why, as your president, I'm so concerned about the impact that this will have on us into the future. So what are we doing about it? The branch, through our CEO, is a participant in a national scouting working group which identifies issues when they occur with the redress scheme, especially when there have been opportunities. We have been able to amend claims both nationally and for our branch. Through the great and difficult work of Steve Haswell, who has provided that face-to-face contact when appropriate with survivors to improve communication between the parties, displaying empathy for their situation and assisting with the difficult negotiation process. Thank you, Steve. The BEC has focused on implementing a process to ensure all of our financial assets are known and, when appropriate, selling some assets to assist in the financial claims. Importantly, so far, we have only sold properties that to some extent, some may argue against this, have been surplus to our needs. Unlike many branches around the nation who are currently selling halls with up to 100 youth members in those halls. We don't want to do that. We are reinvesting in our businesses so that they will continue to support us financially. It is an important question that you may ask. Why isn't our branch selling halls like our interstate friends? I can give you an easy answer to this. They don't have the businesses like we have. And those businesses support us financially. It is as simple as that. During this presentation so far, I have mentioned financial support on several occasions. Revenue for scouting comes from several different sources, as seen on the slide. As you can see, the majority comes from our businesses. It is important to understand that the $107 million of revenue over 3 years for businesses looks great. But you do need to remove all costs for wages, operational costs, insurance, and normal business costs to understand the amount used to support scouting directly. Businesses have supported scouting to the sum of about $6 million over this 3-year period, which is still the greatest revenue stream that we have. Unfortunately, though, we have not reinvested back into our businesses in the past. In fact, only 1.8% of revenue has been reinvested, while the industry standard is 10%. Decisions have been made to invest in scouting and not in the business, which now needs to change. This failure to reinvest is a significant issue as it impacts on our ability to grow, prosper, and build our financial sustainability. Into the future, we will have to increase our reinvestment, which will reduce the amount that we have available to support scouting. This will be our position until our reinvestment turns into financial growth and we can find the right balance between reinvesting into businesses and investing into scouting. As you can see, membership fees are an important part of this revenue stream. Recently, the BEC approved a modest increase in these branch fees, which will take the youth fees from $58 to $85 in March of 2023. Yes, this is an increase in which some people may find difficult to pay. However, it is important to remind everyone that the BEC has established a fund to support members in this position. Interstate branches with branch fees of between $200 and $250 are now considering a 20 to 30% increase for them to support redress in civil litigation. This increase in branch fees will eventually bring a further $168,000 per year if we have no change to membership numbers, which in reality is just over the cost of one redress claim. It is important to note that 804,000 in revenue was provided to scouting through membership fees, grants and interest in 2020. However, the cost of volunteer scouting to the branch was 1.2 million. And this is a conservative figure, as it does not include salary and administrative costs which support scouting. The obvious difference, again, is provided by our businesses. I've heard concerns that members have relative to an increase in the number of paid staff now working for the branch. Firstly, yes, there has been an increase in both the number of managers and supervisors, as well as administrative staff, which the BC and I fully support. As I have already said, the industry standard for reinvestment is 10%. We recorded 1.8% over the last 3 years. We cannot allow our business support to go backwards or remain stable. It must grow to meet the needs of our future, and these extra staff will assist in that. Our new CEO, Rebecca, has done a great job in developing a plan to ensure growth, which has been approved by the BEC. This plan has identified the skills and experience required to meet the challenge which will be required to change our workforce so that it can succeed. Importantly, the salary cost of this increase in workforce number and significant increase in both skills and experience will be less than $200,000 a year. Considering the significant change to the workforce, this is a pretty minimal cost. Our membership support area has the biggest increase in staff, as this group directly supports volunteer scouting and has been treated as a priority, with an extra 3 staff members being appointed, bringing the total number of staff to 8. I think it's important for me to quantify my point. Our branch has an establishment of paid staff of just over 250 people. Obviously, the greater number of those people are found in our recycling areas, but we've also got Woodhouse, and we've also got Exerbia, and we've also got the headquarters area. Those managers and supervisors out there sitting and listening to this today would know the human resource support required to keep this number of people fully engaged, employed appropriately, and given opportunities to improve performance. In most companies, there will be a HR department led by a qualified and experienced HR practitioner of probably 5 to 6 people. You may not know this, but until recently, we had 1 person performing this role. And through Rebecca's good work, we've now increased that. Let me make it quite clear. To survive as a branch into the future, one of our pillars will be to remain financially viable. To do that, we have to grow our businesses, and to grow our businesses, we need to have the right number of skilled and experienced professionals supporting us. And yes, this does come at a short-term cost. However, if we don't, the cost to our organisation will be significant and we may not survive. I have great confidence that with this restructure will be the foundation of our financial success. I believe I have reinforced the point enough that people listening to this presentation should be in no doubt in the need to support our 3 main businesses. Hopefully, you should now be asking yourself, what can I do as a leader or a member to further support our businesses and to support the branch? You can do lots of things. Firstly, be a marketer. Take every opportunity you can to sell our recycling centres. Be involved in taking product to our recycling centres. Go to our new retail store, Exerbia. and Woodhouse, which has a diverse range of activities which will suit everyone. Take every opportunity to promote these to your family and friends. And at the same time, use these businesses yourself. It is very disappointing when I hear that members have gone to other businesses and obviously have supported them. Remember, it may be the difference in having to sell a Scout Hall or not. Late last year, the BEC mandated vaccinations for Scout members and staff when participating in Scout activities and employment. At this time, there were two emerging variants, Delta and then Omicron, which created a high level of uncertainty and risk, and directions for both education and childcare to be vaccinated were made. The BEC decided to gauge the feelings of the membership. A survey was initiated to identify the rate of vaccination for members and staff in November and December of 21. This survey found that of the 167 staff members who had responded to the survey, that 110, 65%, were fully vaccinated. Of the 759 members who responded to the survey, 699, 92%, were fully vaccinated. The results of this survey indicated that within the membership and employee cohorts, there was a relatively high level of vaccination compliance, especially within the membership cohort of leaders and adult members of 92%. On the 20th of December, the BEC passed 3 motions, taking into account the survey results. The COVID declaration involving childcare and education, and the general concerns of our community. The first motion related to staff. The second motion, which I wish to focus on, endorsed in principle to mandate the Emergency Management Act, Education and Early Childhood Setting Vaccination COVID-19 direction to Scouting. And this was done due to the close nexus between this direction and the activities taken by Scouting with youth. It was noted that further consultation with volunteers was required. The third motion related to developing a policy as a consequence of the feedback that was then going to be committed to. Both the Chief Commissioner and the Chief Executive Officer conducted a consultation process to inform the BEC. This consultation was significant, with meetings held, information sessions provided, email questions responded to, and a further survey conducted. It was clear during the initial consultation process that there was a wide range of views, just as there is in our community. Some members were very supportive of the mandate, believing that the branch should go even further and provide further regulation. Other members believed that the branch should not mandate vaccinations. They believed if the branch did mandate vaccinations, they would have to leave the organisation and cease their membership. Many had concerns on how the mandating process would actually work operationally, believing that extra work would be required for group leaders and section leaders to comply with the mandate process. While the first survey gauged the level of vaccination within the 2 cohorts, it did not gauge the level of support from the membership in supporting the mandating of vaccinations, which are 2 separate questions. To provide further advice to the BEC, a decision was made to conduct a further survey to gauge the level of support of the decision to mandate vaccinations for members. This survey, with a response rate of 350 people, found that 195, 55% supported the mandate. I'll say that again, 195 people supported the mandate, at a rate of 55%. 101, 28% did not support the mandate. So you can see that there was a difference between the two figures, and in consequence of that, we had to then dig down a little bit further in what the consequence was of the two views. Importantly, out of the cohort of people who were in favour of the mandate, less than 7% identified that they may leave the organisation if the mandate did not proceed. So out of the 195 people that supported the mandate, very few said if the mandate didn't go ahead that they would leave the organisation. On the other hand, the cohort of people who were not in favour of the mandate, 56%, identified that they may leave the organisation if the mandate did proceed. This figure, when extrapolated out throughout the membership, could have resulted in more than 200 adult members leaving the organisation and the closure of up to 10 groups, which was significant. The BEC considered these facts on Monday night and had to balance the support of the membership of the mandate against the risk of the mandate policy and potentially losing more than 200 adult members. This has been a very difficult decision, with many strong views around the BEC table, as well as we know, there's many strong views within our membership and in the broader community. I know that the BEC's decision will not be supported by all. However, we must do what we believe is best for the organisation, and as a whole, do what is best for the organisation as a whole, and I believe we have done that. So consequently, a motion was put to the BEC on Monday night, which I'm now going to read. Further to the BEC motion endorsed in principle to mandate the Emergency Management Act, Education and Early Childhood Settings Vaccination COVID-19 Direction on the 20th of December 2021, the BEC has agreed to form the position based on the changes within the South Australian environment since December and the feedback provided by the branch membership to encourage vaccinations but will not mandate vaccinations. This decision is subject to any further and future Emergency Management Act, health directions or legislation, and with the understanding that the focus of the BEC and its decision making remains to be the health and well-being of the branch members. There will be communication relative to this decision which will go out almost immediately. Personally, on one hand, I'm quite disappointed with this decision, as I believe the mandate provided Scouts with a strong leadership position in the community. However, I cannot support the loss of so many adult members, which could have resulted in hundreds of youth members never being able to experience Scouting in their lives, which to me is untenable. Almost 4 years ago, when I commenced as your president, one of my own personal goals was to increase the number of females on our BEC, as I'm a firm believer that any change must start at the top. Historically, the female representation has been small. However, it is now 6 females and 4 males, and further supported by our Chief Commissioner and Chief Executive Officer. Diversity brings so many benefits to any organisation. This change is a very small start to a very long journey and involves much more than male-female diversity. We also need to have diversity in culture, age, disability, so that we are a true reflection of the community and can build on the positive culture that diversity will bring us. The Chief Commissioner and the Chief Executive Officer are developing strategies to build this diversity further, and I hope you support them in these initiatives. There are several documents that provide the foundation of our existence and governs how we are structured, our responsibilities, and importantly, our accountabilities. Firstly, we have the Royal Charter of the Australian Boy Scouts Association, granted by Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth on the 23rd of August 1967. The next document we have is the South Australian Branch Boy Scout Act, assented to in 1969 by the South Australian Parliament. And the third document is the Scout Association of Australia South Australian Branch Constitution and Regulations, which was first approved in the current form on the 26th of May 1975. Since 1975, we have had a total of 8 very small minor changes to the Constitution, the last change being at our last AGM in 2021. There is no doubt that these documents have served us well in the past. However, they were all written at a time when we didn't have the vast number of legislative requirements that we have today. It is also worth noting that our Constitution provides great support and guidance to grow volunteer scouting. However, it does very little to support, grow and protect our businesses, which are vital to our success. Into the future, we will have to seek guidance to identify the best organisational structure and constitution which will support us with the many risks that we have today. This will be a lengthy and complex process, as there are many views, differing opinions and issues to be considered. However, it is very important that we get this right so that we can come back to you with any suggested changes. Firstly, I must apologise to everyone, as my presentation tonight has really focused on the business side of scouting and the risks that we are currently managing. What I have failed to do is to highlight the great work of our leaders and staff in growing scouting. I was recently very pleased to hear that some of our recruitment strategies were working, with an increase in youth members of about 1.59% and adult members 5.34%, which is great. However, our leaders' numbers within that category have fallen. Our Chief Commissioner has a strong focus on the Recruit 400 program, which I'm sure will be a success. In a minute, we will hear of a fantastic initiative, which is all about volunteer scouting and hopefully will impact on diversity and recruitment in a positive way. And I'm very proud to be involved in the support of this new group. It would be remiss of me not to thank the hard-working members of the BEC and note that our future will be challenging. However, I have the confidence that we will succeed. We have to. I leave you with my last travellogue picture, again on Dove Lake, paddling towards Cradle Mountain. Thanks for your attention tonight. If you have any questions of me, I'm more than happy to answer them via email. Good night and enjoy the rest of the AGM. Thank you.
I'm now going to present our Chief Commissioner, Jan Turbell's report. As I said earlier, Jan's absence has been forced at short notice, so she has been unable to present the report either in person or to pre-record it. I'm going to read it as Jan has written it. Welcome everyone. Firstly, I want to thank all our wonderful volunteers for an awesome but very difficult period. Yet again, trying to keep our youth engaged during COVID and transitioning to our new way of COVID life. I know it hasn't been easy with event cancellations, face masks, and the ever-changing world of room capacities and social distancing. So well done to everyone in Scouting. The half-year April to September 2021, which this AGM report covers, was a unique and memorable period at many levels. However, through this period, the resilience and flexibility of our members shone through. We did lose a small number of youth members and a small number of leaders, but we have plans to address this in the coming financial year. COVID impacted particularly on the Cubs section, who found it difficult to engage with Scouting at home, and leaders chose to retire or step away from Scouting in a difficult time. We continue to strengthen our child protection processes and visibility. We are making good progress in implementing a new campaign with youth safety and support, the core of our organisation. Our vision remains to be youth-led and adult-supported in all aspects of our organisation. The launch of the new youth program is complete, some 3 years after those initial steps and careful transition planning. All groups are now engaging with the program, and we look forward to where this journey is going to take us. Our youth members are enjoying achieving milestones and supporting each other with adventurous activity progression. Welcoming new communities to Scouting is fundamentally important to growing our footprint. In this period, we met with many MPs, ministers, and community leaders to spruik the benefits of Scouting. We pressed these leaders to advocate for Scouts with the sports voucher program in our state, and will continue to advocate for Scouts in this campaign. With the ongoing success and example of the Attaqua Scout Group, as previously reported, we will continue our efforts to engage other communities and multicultural leaders for the expansion of this program. We met with many MPs and ministers at Scout Halls and relish this opportunity to showcase Scouting and give them visibility as to the ongoing needs of a Scout Hall. We also generally take this opportunity to scarf up members of our wider community that contribute to or support Scouting. Through hard work across the movement, we ended the shortened financial year in good shape, even with COVID restrictions and lockdown. Our new CEO, Rebecca Wilson, has commenced her tenure and is having an immediate and positive impact on our branch commercial operations and on head office. We look forward to reporting on this as Rebecca realises her goals for our branch. We are delighted with our volunteers and how they responded to the challenges COVID presented. We are proud of our leading response to support our young people to continue with Scouting, albeit with a different model. Finally, of course, we thank Steve Haswell for stepping up to take on the role of acting CEO from November 2020 to August 2021. His passion for Scouting is unwavering, and he guided the association admirably during this period. Thank you for your support in voting, which ensures our board is peer-nominated, voted and represented. I would now like to introduce Muhammad Walid Khalil and members from the Attaqua Muslim Scout Group to address you on what Scouting means to the community.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Jane. Good afternoon, Mr. President. This is Muhammad Walid, and actually I'm coming here with a generous invitation from Jane to speak on Attaqwa Muslim Scouts. I am also blessed to have Nusayba. She is our girls leader, and Mona, she is youth support. Hopefully very soon she will be another girls leader with us. Just as a representative of the volunteers we have in the group. And to keep it short, I will discuss on the group forming. This is my bit. And then Mona and Nusayba will discuss more on how Scout means to the Muslim community, and they will be also sharing some videos on our recent activities. To keep it simple, for the group forming, actually we started this discussion like November 2020. It was between three peoples, Hani, we say Hani the Scout. He is one of the Muslim community who is very attached to Scouts. And Brother Hani, he is our leader for Islamic Society of Information Center, and myself. And at that time we discussed on how can we make a benefit of creating a new path for the community, leave a footstep for the community with a new idea. Like, you know, like we are as an information center was more focusing on more curriculum-based activities like Saturday school, teaching some of the curriculums to either the adults or the kids. However, we have also some extended activities with the community like cultural festivals, but we were not like having a sort of a periodic interaction with the community for a program like Scouts. And from that time, we decided, okay, let's start. We met Greg and we met Adam, that's at the beginning, and it was a great support from them, definitely. Before even meeting Greg and Adam, we decided to have a look on our community and what actually, as they are our customers, what they need to have from us in order to achieve as much as we can in order to meet their expectation, and then we have a good success story, I would say. As a parents, you know, like all of us were parents, not only just idea to create, we found that we need to have a safe environment for the kids, which we found that we can highly engage with the Scouts. We can have a very good, I would say, you know, like attachment to the wider Australian community, not only the Muslim community, but even with the wider Australian as a country and as an organizations. And from there we started. We have different milestones. The first milestone was like volunteer selection, and we were like blessed to have very good leaders. This is like a representative of them. After this milestone, we have the training. We have the launch on February 21. We have in April our first camp. We have in July the investment day for around 40 youth members. And then we have after that in October the second camp. So far we have around 70 youth members on like regular base interactions. Sometimes we have more even like comers, but this is mainly for the wider camps, I would say. And our main ambition and main vision, sorry, to say is that we are here to serve the community with a very good program, with a very good support from you all. And thank you very much. That's my talk for the formation. I would leave Nusayba and Mona to continue with how Scouts means to the Muslim community. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Muhammad Walid. We are playing in the background some videos, and we would like to present one of the first videos, which was made to show you guys what we do on a weekly basis when we meet with our Scouts and Cubs. We normally meet on Mondays, and sometimes if we have outside activities, such as things like the Big Wedgie, we'll meet on like Sundays. So there is a video for you guys to enjoy, and I think there's some like intense music in the background. If you could play it, it'll change the environment.
What did you learn, Ziad?
I learned how to make tents and survive snake bites. I learned how to cook, which is good. I learned how to filter water. I learned how to use a convertible stove. I know how to make a tent. I learned how to cook chicken and rice.
And how to purify dirty water.
I've improved my organization skills.
I learned how to survive in the wild.
I learned navigation in the wild and I learned CPR.
I learned how to do first aid.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
So this is just a simple video to show you that we created several activities at several stations, and we had cubs and scouts rotate around. It was something as simple as making eggs, making a tent, and we tried to create that kind of fun environment. I think you did see a few of the kids clapping for the eggs to boil. They're like, boil, boil. So it's just bringing, you know, kids from different backgrounds. We all come together, harmonise on this day, and just enjoy ourselves and try to create a good environment for these young kids to develop and grow in their community, and to give back not only to their Australian community but also to their Muslim community. We do have another video for one of our annual camps that is extended to the further community. It does not only include scouts, it also includes other people from the outside as well. And we also try to show the wider community what we do in scouts, and we represent ourselves to them. So if I could have the video play.
Good life. Allah, I wanna thank you for the good life. I wanna wake up in the morning with the sun, wear a smile, go out and have some fun. Gonna take away the worries on my mind, oh, put them on one side. 'Cause every day is like a brand new story with unwritten lines, and no matter the weather, it's that I need right.
So how's the water?
Good life. Allah, I wanna thank you for the good life. I leave it all in your hands. Oh. Thank you for the good life. Good life. Allah, I wanna thank you for the good life. Hey, listen. There are things in life that money just can't buy. Happiness and love don't have a price. All good people that surround me every day, oh, I just appreciate. I love living in a brand new story. Worry, 'cause I've got all that I need right here in my life. I know my life ain't perfect, but I like the way it's going, 'cause I've got all that I need right here in my life. Thank you for the good life, good life. Allah, I wanna thank you for the good.
That is alive, remembers Allah as well. Including the thunder when the thunderbolt strikes, that's the heavens and the sky saying Subhanallah, to glorifying Allah. The dhikr that we say on our tongue has a physical.
About being thankful and trying to understand that the more I learn, I wanna leave it all in your hands, 'cause I know he'll always take good care of me.
Move, let's go to the finish line, come on boys, let's go, come on boys. Let's go to the finish line, let's go.
Yes, I want to thank you, oh Allah. Thank you for the good life, good life. Allah, I wanna thank you for the good life.
I can't even fake smile.
Bro, I can hear the branches crack.
So we tell them. No, we are the green team. We are the green team.
For the good life, I leave it all in your hands. Oh, good life. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Good life, good life. Allah, I wanna thank you for the good life.
Okay, so basically just as we saw right now in the video, this was one of our latest camps. So far we've had 2 main camps, including the scout group and the wider community. As we can tell by this video, it actually had a very huge fluctuation from beginning. The first camp we had, yes, a lot of members coming to us, but not as much as we had in the second camp, which basically made us feel like, yes, the parents didn't trust their kids with us, even younger children as young as Joey's, which we just opened this year, which had us very motivated. As we could tell, some of these stuff were Islamically related, which is one of the main reasons why parents and the community around us likes to put in their kids with us, because yes, there are many scouting groups that are more, as you can tell, like older than us, but we do provide for them something that they so didn't necessarily was in another community group, which does motivate us and makes us feel like, yes, we are doing something for the community, we are giving back, and we can move forward. This expands not only and builds in the community members or like the children that we have, it also helps us building our own leadership and our own experience and involvements, which really does give us benefit and them benefit as well.
Exactly, and as you saw, most of the pictures that were displayed majority of them were for females, because our group is populated by females more than males, which is interesting. It just shows that, you know, in such a country and in this community over here, there is a high demand for the young Muslim girls to want to experience and go out and try new activities. And, you know, thank God that we have started this new opportunity to open up, you know, different experiences for them and to let them enjoy themselves while carrying themselves as Muslim female women in the society today. So thank you all for listening to us today, and yeah, we hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Well done, Takwa. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I think you should be very proud of what's being achieved. I'm now going to start the formal proceedings of our annual general meeting. The agenda and supporting papers have been previously distributed to members in accordance with the Constitution. We'll commence with the acknowledgement of country.
We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we live and do our scouting activities,
and recognise their continuing connection to the land, waters and community.
We pay our respects to the elders past, present and emerging.
I declare the Scouts Australia SA Branch AGM open and welcome members present in person and online, including Rear Admiral the Honourable Kevin Scarce, AC, CSC, RAN retired, and Mrs Liz Scarce, welcome. Major General Neil Wilson, AM, RFD. Scouts SA President Paul Dixon. Chief Commissioner Jan Turnbull, members of the Branch Executive Committee, Catherine Affleck, Janice Bates, Sue Hill, Wendy Kirk and Jackie Wall, Chief Executive Officer of the SA Branch, Rebecca Wilson, previous Chief Commissioner of Australia, Reg Williams, AM, RFD, Assistant Chief Commissioners Greg Warnes and Marlene Hazy, group leaders, committee chairs, life members, and staff members, Steve Hastwell, Head of Development, Tanya Hayward, Chief Financial Officer, Adam Willis, Head of Member Services, James Sellers, Head of Commercial, Darren Johnson, Inventory Manager from Exerbia, and other head office staff. As the Constitution requires a quorum of 40 voting members to be present at the meeting, we now ask voting members watching the stream to indicate their presence through the online platform Slido. There is a link to Slido at the bottom of the video and QR code on your screen now. I'd also like to acknowledge the apologies for the meeting. Robert Champion de Crepney, AC, Vice President Simon Gray, past Chief Commissioner Harry Long, John Clark, Rebecca Beer-Smith, Matthew Davey, Bob Ellis, Sharon Klein, Andrew McGilvray, Kim Phillips, Bruce Sparrow, Sean Bragg, and our auditor, Jamie Drecko. I'd now like to acknowledge the following members who have gone home since the last AGM. Mavis Casey, Cassandra Atwood-Mitchell, and John Michelle, OAM. There have been some family members who have also passed away during this period, and we also offer our sincere condolences to them. I ask that we pause for a minute in silence to remember them. The minutes of the previous meeting having been circulated, and members were asked to vote either yes, no or abstain as to their acceptance. The meeting was held at 6 p.m. on the 17th of September 2021 and was live streamed online. I call on Janice Bates to move that the minutes of the last annual general meeting be accepted.
I'd like to move that the minutes of the last annual general meeting held on the 17th of September 2021 as circulated be accepted as a true and correct record. Thank you.
And I call on Catherine Affleck to second the motion.
I second this motion.
And I'm pleased to announce that our members have, through the pre-meeting ballot, accepted the minutes of the last annual general meeting held on the 17th of September 2021 as circulated. The annual report of the SA branch for the period 1st of April to the 30th of September 2021 has previously been circulated to all members with the agenda papers. I call on Catherine to move that the annual report of the branch be accepted.
I move that the annual report be accepted.
And I now call on Sue Hill to second the motion.
I second the motion.
And I'm pleased to announce that through a pre-meeting ballot, members have voted to accept the annual report for the period 1st of April 2021 to 30th of September 2021. We'll now look at the financials as presented in the agenda papers. And as chair of the meeting, I invite me to come up and present the financial report. As Finance and Audit Committee Chair, it's my role to present and endorse the audited consolidated financial report for the 6-month period ended 30th of September 2021, and to make comments on the report that will assist you in appreciating the factors that have impacted upon our financial results this year and give you some confidence that in what continues to be a difficult but improving operating environment, we are performing relatively well and are setting the branch up for a successful future. Members should recall that in 2020, we adopted a new financial year that covers the period 1st of October to the 30th of September. To move to this new reporting period, we have a once-off 6-month transitional reporting period, 1st of April to the 30th of September 2021. Consequently, this annual report and my comments relate to that 6-month transitional period. We should remember that COVID had a sudden and severe impact in the 2019-2020 financial year and had an ongoing impact throughout the 2020-2021 financial year. Careful management of costs, an improvement in the value of our share portfolio, and very importantly, JobKeeper payments all contributed to ongoing improvement in our financial position, as reported at last year's AGM. However, you will see from our annual report that over the 6-month transitional reporting period, we have recorded a comprehensive loss of $1.178 million. This loss needs to be looked at in the context of what is recorded in the financials as responsibility to our survivors and as an expense of $1.768 million. Scouts SA is a member of the National Redress Scheme and is committed to supporting survivors of historical child sexual abuse. Our President has made a substantial effort to explain to you all what this is and why it is necessary, so it's not my purpose to do that now. Rather, it's appropriate that I present to you the strategy we have in place to meet our obligations while at the same time ensuring that there is minimal impact upon the conduct of scouting in this state. Essentially, the strategy to date has been to place the proceeds from the sale of Scout properties into a contingency fund to cover our payments to survivors. Over the reporting period, that included the proceeds from the sale of several Scout halls and the arena. The contingency fund is included in our financials as an asset, with proceeds from the sales of Scout property being paid into the fund and payments to survivors drawing on the fund. Over this reporting period, payments from that fund exceeded income, and that is reflected in our comprehensive loss. While our intent is that this will continue to form the basis of our strategy to meet our obligations to our survivors, we need to recognise that future payments and revenue cannot be accurately forecast with any confidence, and we need to be prepared to take other action if and when necessary to meet our obligations. If we look at our revenue and expenses with our obligations to our survivors of $1.768 million and income from property sales of $731,000 removed, we would have recorded a deficit of $141,000. This highlights the imperative to increase our income streams, principally but not exclusively from our commercial operations, in a way that is sustainable to ensure losses are not made. Our commercial operations are the Scout Recycling Centre, Woodhouse, and the Scout Outdoor Centre. They are extremely important to us, and each has been affected in different ways by the pandemic of the past 2 years. Woodhouse has remained an effective source of revenue, and recycling has recovered extremely well from a downturn 2 years ago. The Scout Outdoor Centre continues to be impacted by consumer demand, and the benefits of strategies put in place to address this, which include the move to Nord, the rebranding as Exerbia, and developing new business models for its operations, the benefits have yet to be realised. Our financial performance for the reporting period gives us cause to feel cautious optimism that we have weathered the pandemic in relatively good shape, and we are setting ourselves up appropriately for the future. After the disruption of COVID that we have experienced over the past 2 reporting periods, with substantial impact upon our commercial operations, large fluctuations in the value of our short fare portfolio, and a reliance upon the government JobKeeper payments, we're returning to a level of normality in our ongoing operations. Our strategy continues to be one of ensuring our commercial activities continue and improve, and careful management of expenses, while at the same time investing in improvements where they will bring long-term benefit to our commercial operations and to Scouting in the state. Finally, as per the reporting requirement of our state regulator, I also present to you our related party transactions for the year ended 2021 and the contracted related party transactions for the following period. As Chair of the Finance and Audit Committee, I move that we accept the audited consolidated financial report for the period 1st of April to the 30th of September, and I call on Catherine Affleck to second my motion.
I second this motion.
And I can announce that the consolidated financial report has been accepted by a majority of the voting members of the branch. We now move on to the election of members of the branch executive committee, and I invite our Chief Executive Officer, Rebecca Wilson, to cover this item on our agenda.
So, in accordance with our constitution, only members of the branch are able to cast their vote. That is the Chief Scout, patrons of SA branch, members of the branch executive, the Chief Commissioner, life members, commissioners, branch Rover Council chair, group leaders, Rover crew leaders, and chairs of group committees and honorary members. This year, as we were restricted at the time of preparations for this event, it was decided to open the voting to all voting members via postal or online voting. These votes have now been counted. The process for postal and/or online voting for the position of supporting member, adult leader and young adult commenced on the 16th of March 2022 and closed on Thursday, the 24th of March 2022. Thank you to Reg Williams, AM RFD, for assisting with the scrutineering of the voting process. In accordance with Regulation 10 of the Constitution, 18 postal votes were received, and we thank Reg Williams, AM RFD, for his efforts and assistance with scrutineering the voting process. The resumes for all nominees were circulated with the agenda, and as is our practice, the names listed on the ballots were presented in alphabetical order. The nomination for President. That there being no other nominations for the role of President, Mr. Paul Dixon, APM, has been reappointed until the 2024 AGM. Congratulations to Paul. Supporting member. I clarify that the Branch Executive Committee shall comprise of not more than 2 supporting members other than adult leaders, being professional, commercial or other advisors or supporters of the movement in South Australia, elected at the annual general meeting. There were 2 positions for election for the position of supporting member, being for 1 year and 1 for 2 years. It was decided that the nomination with the highest number of votes will be appointed for 2 years and the second highest for 1 year. The nominees for the supporting member position are Langdon Blight, Christina Daniels and Sue Hill. I am pleased to advise that after a count of votes, Langdon Blight has been appointed for 2 years until the 2024 AGM, and Sue Hill has been appointed for 1 year until the 2023 AGM. Congratulations. So you can finish off the rest of the meeting now. Yeah. Adult leader. The nominees for the adult leader position for 2 years are Catherine Affleck, Janice Bates, Sean Bragg, Wendy Kirk and Joshua Smart. I am pleased to advise that after a count of votes, Janice Bates has been appointed for 2 years until the 2024 AGM. Congratulations, Janice. For Young Adult, the nominees for the Young Adult Leader position for 2 years are Catherine Affleck and Erin Flavel. And I am pleased to advise that after a count of votes, Catherine Affleck has been appointed for 2 years until the 2024 AGM. Congratulations. I'll now hand you back to Langdon.
I'd like to congratulate all nominees and thank Reg Williams and Tanya Hayward for acting as scrutineers for the conduct of the ballot. I take this opportunity to thank Wendy Kirk for her invaluable contribution to the BEC. And I'd also like to thank all candidates who had the interest and commitment to put themselves forward for positions on the BEC. Seeking out responsibility, knowing that not everyone can be successful, is a key leadership behaviour. We're now going to look at the appointment of the auditor of our annual accounts. In accordance with professional audit standards, the external audit engagement partner should rotate every 5 years. However, this can be extended by the entity up to a maximum of 7 years. The audit engagement partner is also required to approve the extension of the audit rotation program. There is no specific requirement to rotate audit firms at a particular time. In 2020, the previous CEO and our CFO conducted a tender for the appointment of a new audit firm, which resulted in Mr. Jamie Dreco from Nexia Edwards Marshall being selected as our audit partner, who was then appointed at the September 2020 AGM. It was reported at that AGM that the intention of branch was to conduct a search of this nature every 4 to 5 years. Mr. Jamie Dreco and his audit team from Nexia Edwards Marshall have undertaken the external audit function for 2 financial periods, namely the year ended 31st of March 2021 and the 6-month period ended 30th of September 2021. With this in mind, it has been recommended to members that Nexia Edwards Marshall, with Mr. Jamie Dreco as audit partner, be reappointed for the 3rd financial period as the Association's external auditor for the year ended 30th of September 2022. I invite Catherine Affleck to move the recommendation.
I move this recommendation.
And I invite Sue Hill to second the recommendation.
I second the recommendation.
And I am pleased to announce that after the pre-meeting ballot, the audit firm Nexia Edwards Marshall has been appointed as the Association's auditors until the 2023 AGM. We're now going to consider the amendment to the South Australian Branch Constitution. As background to this, we recently lodged an application with our state regulator, the Consumer and Business Services, in relation to an alteration to our rules. This alteration was with respect to changes to our Constitution and changes in our regulations in relation to the Human Endeavour Recognition Committee. We were advised that under Section 23A of the Associations and Corporations Act, the rules of an association must state the full name of the association and set out its objects. The full name of our association is the Scout Association of Australia, South Australian Branch Incorporated. However, our branch constitution name currently omits the word incorporated. We were also advised our rules must also outline the objects of the association. We agree with the Consumer and Business Services that our objectives aren't clearly captured within the constitution document itself. In accordance with Article 18 of the branch constitution, no alteration can be made by resolution and recommendation of the branch executive committee, followed by notice of any proposed constitutional changes to voting members of branch at least 21 days before the date of the meeting. A draft copy of the proposed changes was circulated to the members in January 2022 for consideration, and again with the AGM package. Branch voting members were asked to consider an amendment to the Constitution to align with our obligations under Section 23A of the Associations and Corporations Act. The changes were included in the information provided. I call on Janice Bates to move that the proposed amendments to our Constitution be accepted.
I would like to advise that the alterations to the Constitution be accepted.
And I invite Catherine Affleck to second the motion.
I second this motion.
And I'm pleased to announce that after a pre-voting ballot, voting members have approved the constitutional change. That now concludes the proceedings of the annual general meeting. I take this opportunity to thank Josh Smart and his team for their efforts in making our live stream possible tonight. I'd also like to thank all of those who are attending in person and online, and I trust you've all enjoyed the proceedings as much as I have. I declare the meeting closed.